Immediately establishing central influence, this advance opens lines for bishops and prepares for queen development. Immediately contesting the center's influence, the knight gracefully prepares to springboard into a more active role across the board. Developing this knight prepares for central pawn advances and supports a healthy kingside development. Solidifying the center and challenging white's early development claims with a central pawn thrust. Asserting central control, this pawn thrust immediately contests the d5 pawn and opens diagonals for your bishops, creating dynamic possibilities. Solidifying the pawn chain, black prepares a staunch defense against white's central ambitions. Solidifying the central pawn structure prepares for a calm development of the kingside pieces. Solidifying the pawn structure, this move prepares to develop the kingside pieces and contest the center with a clear positional plan. Solidifying the central pawn structure and preparing for queenside development, this move gracefully avoids immediate confrontation. Intriguing knight maneuver, challenging central control and eyeing potential outpost opportunities. Developing the bishop here aims to challenge black's knight and prepare for kingside castling, potentially opening lines. Aggressively advancing the f-pawn creates fascinating pawn dynamics, though it might compromise king's safety later. Solidifying the center and preparing for further pawn advancements, this maneuver aims to restrict black's options while creating a dynamic outpost. Repositioning the knight to a more stable square prepares for a potential kingside expansion and reinforces central control. Unleashing the queen creates immediate pressure, forcing black to defend their king or suffer material loss. Shielding the monarch with this pawn push creates immediate defensive complications around the king. Sacrificing the knight opens devastating attacking lines towards black's beleaguered king. Challenging the knight's dominance over the center, this recapture bravely reclaims material and attempts to untangle the queenside. Seeking to dislodge black's knight and open lines, white maneuvers the queen to a more active diagonal. Positioning the rook defensively behind the pawn chain, this move aims to bolster the king's protection and prepare for potential counterplay on the kingside. Sacrificing the knight opens the g-file, directly menacing the black king and creating a dynamic imbalance for a swift assault. Reclaiming the king opens up the rook, but leaves the monarch exposed to potential battery attacks. Launching a pawn attack here aims to dislodge black's knight and open a path toward their exposed monarch. Reclaiming the knight opens lines, yet exposes your king further, a double-edged decision. Unleashing the bishop consolidates your control over the center, a vital step toward exploiting black's exposed king. Gambling the rook for a fleeting attack, opening the king to further ruin. Castling long decisively claims the open c-file, initiating a bold kingside assault and sacrificing material for dynamic pressure against black's exposed monarch. Seeking safety, the king ventures closer to the action, potentially disrupting white's queenside buildup. Reinforcing control of the open g-file becomes paramount to exploit black's exposed monarch. Seeking a sanctuary, black redirects the queen, preparing to shore up defenses and perhaps exploit white's overextended kingside. Trading rooks clarifies the central files, potentially setting up a sharp battle for the open lines and putting black's king under scrutiny. Black reclaims the piece, a necessary response to maintain material balance and shore up their king's safety. Unleashing a pawn storm, white aims to shatter black's nascent defenses and seize control of the vital e-file, creating a dynamic imbalance. Opening the d-file offers a sharp tactical battle, potentially exposing the black king further, but demands precise calculation. Crashing open lines near the weakened black king, this pawn thrust unlocks immediate attacking potential along the f-file. Unleashing a queen, black seeks to disrupt white's exposed king and reclaim material, but risks overextending. A daring rook lift aims to exploit black's exposed monarch, even at the cost of pawn structure. Unleashing the g-file control with the queen, black aims to disrupt white's kingside setup and pressure the compromised royal position. Unleashing the queen to dominate the queenside, and pressure black's weakened king. Developing this, bishop prepares to contest the e-file and offers a pawn sacrifice for activity. Reclaiming the open g-file offers crucial attacking potential against black's exposed monarch. Invading the king's weakened territory, this knight aims to exploit the open files and disrupt white's coordination. Unleashing the queen to attack the pinned knight and threaten checkmate on g7, while simplifying black's defense. Re-engaging the knight creates a dynamic pawn fork, threatening both the queen and the rook on the c-file. Attempting to gain initiative on the king side, but it opens up black's central counterplay and potential for piece activity. Seizing the initiative, black forces white's king to confront its exposed position, creating immediate tactical headaches. Recapturing the rook solidifies the central file, offering a strong attacking platform. Shifting the king offers precious breathing room, seeking to escape the open files and potential mating threats brewing on the king side. Pressuring the e4 pawn and repositioning the rook for potential central action. Reuniting the rook's aims to consolidate the queen side, potentially preparing for central advancement or a kingside assault. Spotting a temporary reprieve, this queen sortie forces a pawn advance, momentarily disrupting black's regal sanctuary. The king retreats, seeking respite from the dangerous open lines, but remains exposed on the e-file. Securing the queen side by preventing black's bishop from becoming an offensive force. Seeking refuge for the displaced monarch, this maneuver aims to establish a solid defensive perimeter. Unleashing the rook, white forces a king retreat and seizes control of the open g-file. Relinquishing the initiative, black's king is now exposed on the open e-file, inviting further punishment. Black's king is cornered, a spectacular checkmate delivered with a swift queen sacrifice.